The Seer of Possibilities by Thomas O. Sometimes otherworldly beings find interesting ways to try and contact you. They might use a Ouija board, or maybe come to you in a dream, or sometimes they speak through another person. They each have their own style and preference that's particular to them. The one who contacted Jack spoke to him through his computer, or I guess you could say the communication was through on-screen text. The first time it happened, Jack had been sitting at his computer playing solitaire. A blinking red light from the router indicated that his internet connection was down again. This was at least a weekly occurrence, and Jack was getting used to the spotty internet service. As he moved his cards, the game faded into a solid black screen, and the red text appeared. "Hi Jack, I need a favor from you. You're a very special person, and I know you'll help me. I can't ask this of just anyone. I really need your help." Jack paused for a second. The router light was still blinking red. Is this some sort of joke? He couldn't help but wondering. Several moments later, the message continued. "Yes, Jack. I know this is weird for you, but I don't want you to worry. This is just a small, easy favor I need. I'll make sure you're rewarded." Now, nearly in a panic, Jack reached around and pulled the internet cable completely from the wall. "Still here, Jack? I don't want to waste any more of your time, so I'll get right to what I need. Tomorrow, when you go to work, I need you to move the large potted plant that's next to the elevator on the ground floor. All you have to do is pull it out 3 inches from the wall. If you do it at 8:17 a.m., nobody else will be in the area." Jack sat there, refusing to respond, still trying to figure out what was happening. The writing continued. "Look, Jack, I'm asking you because I know you'll do it. You won't let me down. You're special. We'll talk tomorrow." Jack pulled the power cord from the wall, and the computer went blank. Did that really just happen, he thought? Still shaking from the experience, he took a warm shower and got ready for bed, convincing himself that he'd had some crazy dream, or that it was just some elaborate joke. But who would play that kind of joke on him? He really didn't have friends or enemies. He woke up the next morning feeling refreshed. Work would start at 8:30 a.m. and Jack was never late. He pulled into the parking lot at 8:10 a.m. Normally, he'd just go straight in, but the message had told him to move the plant at 8:17 a.m. Was he really going to do it? Overnight, Jack's fear had turned into curiosity. Let's say he moved the plant. He wouldn't be doing anything wrong or illegal, right? In Jack's mind, the most reasonable course of action was to move the plant. He'd do it. Nothing would happen, and he'd be able to put this whole crazy matter behind him. 1 minute before 8:17, Jack left his car and walked towards the building. He entered the foyer at the exact time he was supposed to. The message was right. Nobody else was around. Odd, Jack thought. The building was normally busy this time of morning, but this temporary lull had been accurately predicted. Fine. Let's see what happens, Jack muttered to himself. He walked up to the large potted plant, placed firmly between the 2 elevators in the lobby of the 10-story building. The plant looked like it was fake, and a decoration people passed every day without really noticing. It was heavier than Jack realized. He put some might into his effort and pulled the plant out 3 inches to his best estimate. He stood back and looked at the plant, then looked around the lobby. People were coming in behind him now, and the lobby was starting to fill up again. Nobody seemed to notice the plant was in a slightly different location. Nothing seemed different at all. Jack skipped the next elevator and waited. Waited for something. But nothing happened. Finally, Jack entered the elevator and made it to his 7th floor cubicle, on time, like always. If you ever asked Jack's co-workers to describe him, you'd hear words like polite, quiet, respectful, and competent. And while those words were all accurate, they give little indication of the truth. The truth that Jack really didn't like most people. That's not to say he disliked them, just that he had very little interest in getting to know them or being their friend, save for one, Allie. The girl who sat 2 cubicles down from him was the only person he wanted to know more about. With her big smile, blonde hair, and beautiful figure, Jack was very interested in learning all about her. Despite his lack of success with women in the past, he was actually doing a fair job getting to know her. Every morning as he passed their cubicle, he'd stop for a chat. The chats were 1 minute at first, then 2 minutes, then several minutes. Jack was surprised that she actually seemed to like him. On this particular morning, their daily conversation lasted only a couple of minutes, as they exchanged their morning greetings and talked about Allie's wild night out. The elevator doors opened up behind them. Out hobbled James Bentley, the boss of both Jack and Allie. James's loud complaining could be heard throughout the office. "My damn foot!" "What happened, James?" came the mumbled inquiries. "It's that damn plant they put in the lobby. I ran right into it and twisted my ankle." "James, you can barely walk. You need to go to the hospital," came Allie's concerned reply. "Can't do it now. I have meetings all day. Too important to cancel. I'll just have to tough it out." Jack, feeling stunned, left Allie's cubicle mid-conversation and sunk down into his chair. It wasn't his fault. He was sure of it. How could he have been so stupid and careless? Still, no use in worrying about it now. A twisted ankle would heal. Everything would be alright. Upon his return home, Jack went immediately to his computer and turned it on. As soon as the computer booted up, the screen went black and a new message popped up. "How was your day, Jack?" He sat there, staring at the screen, not knowing how to answer. The message on the screen continued. "Actually, I know how your day was, but never let it be said that I'm not polite. You're wondering what's going on. You want to know why James Bentley had to twist his ankle. Well, Jack, this chain of events isn't done playing out. I don't want to tell you too much too soon, but this will all make sense to you in short order. Just go to work tomorrow like you normally do. Don't worry about a thing, Jack. You'll be rewarded. You're special. Talk to you tomorrow." Jack sat back in his chair. What was going on? Who was this sending him messages? Jack's curiosity was fully engaged, and he was almost a bit excited to see what would happen next. The next morning at work started off as any ordinary day. Jack noticed that the plant had been pushed back fully against the wall, probably by the night cleaning crew. James Bentley showed up shortly after lunch, hobbling into the office on his one good foot. "Man, this foot is killing me," Jack could overhear him say. But apparently James still had a meeting he didn't want to miss. It wasn't until around 3 o'clock that Jack saw him again. James, who always seemed to prefer Allie over others, came limping up to her cubicle. "Allie, you're not doing anything right now, are you?" No. Nothing that can't wait until tomorrow, I guess." "Good. Could you please drive me to see my doctor? I probably should have gone yesterday, but I just couldn't get away. This pain is just killing me right now, and I don't think I can drive myself. I barely made it here this morning, and I don't think I can even push the gas pedal right now. We can take my car if you want." "Yeah, that's fine, James. I don't have a problem taking you." Turning to Jack, she said her goodbye. "See you tomorrow, Jackie." She put her coat on and slowly followed James as he struggled down the hallway. She gave a half turn and a shrug in Jack's direction, with a little smile as she walked away. Jack felt even lonelier than normal when she was gone. It was 10 minutes later that they all heard the crash. It was preceded by the loud horn of an 18-wheeler and screeching brakes. The collision itself was a sickening thud of two large metal objects colliding. Even on the 7th floor, it was loud. The office workers gasped and ran to the windows. "Is that James's car?" one of them asked. "Hard to tell from up here," someone responded. "It's so banged up." The horrifying implication of what had just happened came to Jack immediately. No, he thought. This can't be true. Shaking all the way, he ran to the elevator and went to the ground floor along with several others from the office. Some of them were crying. As they joined the growing crowd around the scene of the accident, Jack could hear the far-off sound of emergency sirens. Looking past the Gawkers, he could see that the 18-wheeler had hit James's car broadside. Its driver had been thrown out onto the pavement, where she lay motionless. James was sitting in the passenger seat of his car, motionless, but with a surprised look on his bloody face. Jack couldn't tell if he was alive or dead. The driver's side, where Allie was seated, had taken the hit. The space she'd been occupying had been compacted to a third of its original size. Allie's head was smashed open, and her twisted body was broken and battered. The crowd was stunned. Tears, screams, sirens. That was all Jack could hear. Without going back inside the building, Jack ran to his own car and drove home, angry and sad. He made the journey home and to his computer. There the machine sat. He wanted to turn it on, but was afraid of what he'd find out. Was he really the one responsible for Allie's death? The whole chain of events had started with him. He knew he was to blame. Jack reached for the power button, and then pulled his hand back. Finally, after several minutes, he found the mental strength to turn it on. The screen flickered, and then went black, and the familiar text started appearing on the screen. "No, Jack. It's not your fault. I know you're blaming yourself, but all people die eventually. Some just sooner than others." Jack stared at the screen. He resisted the urge to throw the monitor to the ground. After a moment, the writing continued. "Jack, I'm going to tell you something, and I really need you to seriously consider everything I'm about to say. You thought that you were in love with Allie. The truth is, you just wanted to fuck her. And please excuse my language, but every once in a great while, it's best to be blunt. Jack, she wasn't the one for you. She would have made your life miserable. Yes, you would have eventually found the courage to ask her out. She actually was interested in you. She thought you'd make a good project. Sad, really, for her, not for you. I want you to think back to all the things she told you. Why did her last boyfriend break up with her?" "Because she cheated on him," Jack mumbled under his breath. "Because she cheated on him, Jack. The same thing she would have done to you. She would have made you happy for about 2 months, and then miserable for the next 4 years. Sneaking around, laughing at you behind your back, spending all your money. Once you finally got rid of her, you would have been so jaded that you'd never date again. This is true, Jack. I see all future possibilities. The ones that come to pass and the ones that don't. You've seen how she really is, Jack. But you let your lust for her blind you to the truth. Together, you and I have made sure you avoided that path. One more thing, Jack. This isn't done playing out yet. There's still more to come." "No! Fuck you! You killed her!" Jack screamed and threw the monitor from the desk. It landed on the floor and sparked out. Jack got barely any sleep that night. and the next day he wasn't sure he wanted to go to work. But the last words he'd been told had piqued his curiosity, and his anger had somewhat subsided. No work was done that day at the office. The company brought in grief counselors. People shared their thoughts. They cried. They hugged. James had actually survived the accident, but was in a coma. The doctors thought he might recover eventually, but nobody was really sure. Late in the afternoon, Jack was approached by Diego Salbarra, the head of the division. Diego was blunt and upfront, and he offered James's position to Jack. Technically, it would be a temporary promotion, but James wouldn't be back anytime soon. Diego promised him that the promotion would be made permanent once enough time had passed. "Let's keep this low-key for now," Diego told him. "I know it might seem quick, but the Lancaster project James was working on can't be stopped. It's too important for the company. I need someone in charge right away. This can't wait." Stunned, Jack accepted the promotion. He left work with a strange mixture of feelings, not really sure how he felt about anything. On his way home, he stopped at the electronics store and bought a new monitor. He made it home and powered up the computer. Once again, the writing came on the screen. "Jack, I want to be the first one to congratulate you. I'm proud of what you've accomplished." Jack stared at the screen. "Jack, I have to ask your forgiveness, because I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm called the Seer. Like I told you before, I see what will be, and I see what can be. It's a very powerful gift I have. But you know what, Jack? For all my power, I still can't do anything corporeal. I can predict, I can see, and with enough effort I can even communicate. But I don't have a body. That's something that was taken from me long, long ago. That's why I need you, Jack. I am an artist of sorts. An artist of human manipulation. You'll be my paintbrush and my canvas. I want you to work with me, Jack. It's all very simple. Just perform simple tasks for me from time to time." Jack was becoming more and more curious. "And Jack, before you give me an answer, I want you to know a couple of things. First off, I'll never lie to you. Secondly, I'll never ask you to do anything which, taken by itself, is wrong or illegal. Yes, bad things will result, and sometimes people will die. But they're going to die eventually anyways, right, Jack? And the bad will always be balanced out by something good happening to you." Jack winced at this last idea, but he fought the urge to turn the computer off. The Seer was right. Everyone would die eventually. Why not let something good come of it? And what about never lying to him? If he'd known at the time that Ali was going to die, he'd have never gone through with the original favor. But as he thought more about it, he realized the Seer hadn't lied to him, but had only withheld information. Jack wondered if he could trust the Seer. "Work with me, Jack. Tomorrow we'll make incredible things happen. I'm just asking you to perform a little task from time to time. Oh, but these little tasks will have great consequences. They're going to be beautiful, Jack, and they'll always end with a reward for you. That's the beauty of my art. One single task produces something bad and something good. Oh, one last thing, Jack. I can see you're having trouble with this. If I stopped talking to you for right now, it would take you about 2 weeks to decide to join me. But you know what, Jack? You would join me. That's right. You're going to say yes. So instead of waiting, why don't you just say yes to me now? Let's get started, Jack. And when all this is over, you're going to thank me. I promise you." Jack considered what the seer had just said. His initial feeling of revolt was slowly fading. He paused, and then for the first time, he placed his fingers on the keyboard and responded directly to the seer. "What do you want me to do next?" Hello everyone, the Archivist here. Thanks for listening to part 1 of this story. If you want to check out part 2, make sure that you're following the channel so that you're updated immediately when it's uploaded. Don't worry, it's going to be coming very, very soon. While you're at it, if you haven't already, do check out all the other stuff we have on the channel, and I will see you in the next one.